Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Untap.
Welcome back to MTGYou, the Magic the Gathering podcast for you. I'm James.
I got 99 problems and MTG ain't one. I'm Rich.
Stoking the Forge. I'm Blades.
Shallandar, where the mana flows and the planeswalkers go. Shalland, don't leave without visiting the tourist gift shop. I'm Damon.
All right, it's Thursday, the 10th of July, 2014. We're coming to you live from Studio U. Thanks for joining us. This is episode 42.
Upkeep.
All right, so in our upkeep, how's the volume for you today, Rich?
Great, thanks.
Okay.
I was
Yeah,
like, do
we're
you know
rocking.
42 is the answer of the universe?
It is.
That is such a cool. Thanks for pointing that out. This is an episode I've been waiting for a long time because I love the number 42, and it's appropriate that it's a review show.
There you go.
So we have news. First, GP VIP layout. Tell me about that, Blades.
So the GP VIP structure as of late has been you pay an extra premium cost and you get assigned seating to where you don't.
And you get to just stay in the same spot all day, right?
You get to stay in the same spot all day. You get extra elbow room to where you get like almost a whole table all to yourself.
They did this in Grand Prix Vegas.
And it was so awesome.
So has it
I
gotten
loved
better or worse?
And judges brought you water.
So funny
great.
thing about this is that with the assigned seating and everything, a lot of times it's really hard to pair matches up. Like if you got multiple people who are both on
Right.
assigned seating,
I
or
ain't
like
moving. I ain't moving.
sometimes one person would go to what you normally would be your tournament seat.
So if
like,
two people are VIP, one person might go to theirs and the other person goes to their,
and then
their respective-
nobody knows who's
where they're supposed to be going,
where
right?
they're actually supposed to be going. And in otherwise, like sometimes people are missed when they're paired up against VIP members, so they're told to go sit at their normal chair, and then they sort of wait there indefinitely for their opponent who is waiting for them at a different seat.
Oh, man.
So this is causing all sorts of issues for the tournament organizers, and from what I understand, it's just a headache of a hassle.
Well, and I guess what they've done now is just create a VIP zone. And really, you don't get to stay in the same spot anymore. But all the tournament organizers came together, and they all decided everybody has to offer VIP, but there's no set standards.
Yeah.
And also, they have to give VIP to everybody who's platinum. I mean, which makes sense. It's good to treat those guys well. But it really just... Like, it used to seem like it was worth the money, and I guess they have just cut back a lot on what they're offering. And so it's, I don't know, there's definitely some people complaining out there for sure.
Which is already a pretty penny. Normally, Grand
It's
Prix...
like $60 for Grand Prix.
Yeah, Grand
right?
Prix is an average of $60 right now. With the VIP cost, I believe they're going to be charging around $100 total.
But it comes with a
that's
bottle
it?
of water.
It was 150 or something like that for
That's a
Vegas.
bottle
Yeah, I
of
think
water.
it's 100 extra.
Yeah, I think it's
I
100
could be
extra.
crazy, but I think
Is
it's
it
100
extra?
I think so.
I
I don't know. That's what it was
Like,
for Vegas,
the-
because I remember we were able to go up like in Artist Alley, like the artists. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? You're able to go like in a different section than everybody else and stuff like that. It was a lot
Yeah.
more. You know, you're
Yeah,
guaranteed
you're-
the play mat and stuff
different
like that
line
too.
for pre-reg.
Guaranteed playmat. If it's a limited GP, that's where it makes the most sense because they pre-registered your sealed pool.
Yep.
So that's actually very handy.
Oh,
'cause
that's
you don't have-
nice.
Yeah. So
Huge.
there's no chance of messing it up, and if it is messed up, it's not your fault, so you don't take a loss for it. And I say that as someone who has had a deck registration error at almost every limited event that's
Yeah.
serious that I've ever been to, because apparently I failed kindergarten. So
But one of these new things that they're doing with the new VIP layout is in this VIP section, normally you got your water cooler there. You got a gopher that'll go sign you up in events so that you don't have to wait in those long, strenuous lines. So that's a little bit cool. It also gives you your own pairings board. So you
Yeah,
don't have
that
to
was
slog
sweet.
through the crowds of everywhere else. So that's a little bit good. You have to slog through the rest of the VIP members, but odds are that's going to be significantly less.
Right.
Yeah.
It's instead of 2,000 people, you're done with 500.
right. So new news: Jewels of the Planeswalkers released on iPad. Pretty
Yeah,
exciting.
In fact, CallCat12 in the chat room says, I'm disappointed how 2015 is already out on the iPad, and it's free, and I paid it to pre-order on Steam. Well, don't worry. It's free to download. It gets you through the tutorial part. You still have to pay for it. I downloaded it. Was it yesterday, the day before? I don't remember. It's pretty cool. I mean, it actually runs on my iPad too, whereas 2014 didn't.
So how do you still have to pay for that? Is it like an above
So they just
charge?
let you do like like a demo.
Yeah, so
Oh, okay.
they've gone to the more common model of in-app purchases, which is really the way to go, because that's kind of a little bit more like a try before you buy. So you download it, you get to try it out, you get to go through the tutorial. Great way of learning Magic, by the way.
Yeah.
And then you can pay for the download. So
well, just remember our first couple episodes, like Cardboard Crack, first one's free.
that's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and
Same
that's
with Duels of Planeswalkers.
and that's exactly what got me hooked. Duels of Planeswalkers 2013.
Yeah, that's
is
certainly
the
what
one.
gave me the cojones to go to FNM on a regular basis. So
I walked in there and I says, "Give me my free pack," and it wasn't free because I've been paying for it ever since. So, anyway, that's out, and the rest will be released next week. What else is happening?
Somebody's leaving Wizards.
Someone did announce they're leaving Wizards.
yeah, so our, if you listen to Limited Resources at all, one of the old co-hosts, John Laux, has just announced that he'll be leaving Wizards of the Coast. He's the second of Marshall Cyclos hosts that has been picked up by Wizards of the Coast. So
And they were
Kinda
our
interesting.
Click You last week, right?
they were, I believe, yeah.
But he's leaving. We don't know why yet. It's unfortunate. He says he just wasn't happy. But this does open up the possibility that he'll start doing some streaming, which he was really good at before. So
You know, okay, so here's only one small thing. Like, you work for Wizards of the Coast in research and development. Like, your job is you get to go and play Magic every day. So I feel like, I hope anyways for him that he got offered a really sweet other job because,
I know.
I mean, again, the grass is always greener on the other side. You don't understand the stress and the pressures of testing games every day till you're in the middle of it. But I gotta say, as someone from the outside looking in,
I would
it
love
seems
to
crazy.
have that
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
But anyway, at least he got to try that, and I look forward to hearing why.
I
Rich.
want one.
Yes.
Grook's axe. Oh my gosh.
Here's the thing: is I'm not nearly as scared of Grook anymore. Now that I know his axe is actually
foam.
foam.
Right.
So who
But
has
it's really
the
cool. You
information
could
on
like
this?
nerf somebody with it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like I guess it's for LARPing.
know.
Is that what the idea is, or like what's
that or just random shenanigans?
So where do you get it? Because
I
somebody
don't
was
know yet.
saying
So-
San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah,
or what's the
they're
deal is?
premiering it at San Diego Comic Con. I don't know if it's going to be a product beyond that.
I hope it is.
However,
Toys R Us exclusive.
A few weeks
Wild
ago,
speculation at MTG.
It could
Sorry.
be, but a few weeks ago they were sporting their take a picture with Garuk on how your match went, and you could win a Nerf axe. At the time, they didn't reveal that it is actually going to be one of these Garuk's axe.
But obviously, it's going to be. Then it sounds
Obviously,
like
it's going to be. So, depending on your country, you're going to get more and more chances to win one of these sweet-looking axes.
So at your pre-release, you should have a giant
8
poster
tall
of Garuk.
Garuk. Yeah.
Take a picture with
Or
him and
sorry,
tweet it.
It's Garrick.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Oh,
gosh.
you know what? That's my problem because I'm always
Yeah.
saying Garuk, but it's
We
Garrick.
checked it out on,
So,
and it's official.
4 weeks ago, actually, funny enough. So if you guys are following Wizards_Magic on Twitter, Sean from Wizards Magic was asking around the office, I guess, to find out who, I guess, if it was Garrick or Garuk. And they had this big, huge argument within the office. And they had that go down to the guy that, like, I guess, developed the name or whatever and asked him. They're like, hey, so what's his name? Is it Garrick or Garuk? And he's like, it's Garrick. And I'm like,
Right.
no.
And I have a friend named Garrick. He was in an awesome car accident that severed his nose nerve. So he doesn't have a sense of smell. It's just it's an interesting thing.
Yeah, thanks for
Anyways,
that.
awesome.
The one Garrick that I know. in
Yeah.
real life.
Rabbit
Was it
hole.
spelled the same way?
It was. Yeah.
Wow, that's
It
really
is actually
cool.
pretty interesting. I've met a lot of Jaces, but I've not met very many Garricks. Anyway, point being, Axe, I'm excited more just because it's going to be put in a box somewhere in my room if I ever do
Oh
get
man,
one.
you're gonna see it hanging on the
But,
wall
yeah.
I'm excited.
here when I get.
Oh,
one.
yeah, that'd be sweet.
I'm
But
gonna actually just have people pose with me at FNM from that point forward, and they can like pose in ways
you
and
could
just
get
tweet it
James
out.
James.
and
Get
I
the
could-
local
Oh, yeah.
LARPing group.
Yes,
Yeah.
He already has like the creepy gas mask for
Yeah.
the LARPing group and everything too.
Right, it's
Oh,
But-
funny story about that. We were at we were at Goodwood one day, and
Go
these
on.
guys were sitting there. For some reason, Ian brought that Adventure Time sword.
Yeah.
With him, it was in his backpack, and so we're sitting there talking, just hanging out outside. And these guys were like showing off this shield, like these.
Right,
this
they
group
were
of
all
people,
LARPers,
like,
right?
He's like showing off this shield to some girl, whatever. And she's like looking at it, talking to the guy, whatever, and like the sword and stuff. And we're like, huh, these guys must be LARPers. So we were up there with the Adventure Time sword. We're like, you want to duel? And it turns out they were actually part of James's crew. They LARP, and it was really just small world.
So
funny,
yeah,
but
LARPers at our steakhouse.
Yes,
Anyway.
yes. A little bit of another side shot for LARPing. I tried it once. Unfortunately, I was not cool enough, and my whole LARPing
Lightning
group sort of left me to sort of run.
Well, I'm a rogue. I'm in hiding.
But I have my sword in the back of my car for the longest time, for like 2 months after that, and I pull up behind my buddy at a stoplight, and I see that it's gonna be red for a second, so I look in my rearview mirror, and I see the sword just sitting there. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to do it. I put my car in park. I grab my sword. I run out. I run up to the side of his truck. I just start wailing on it.
that's
Clayton,
funny.
I am not a
Clay-
LARPer.
yeah, none of us. Well, okay,
No.
so Blades
so
tried it
Blades
once.
is a
He
liar.
experimented.
I
He was in
attempted.
college.
He did not
I
inhale.
would like to do it again. I would,
He did
I
not
would like to get
inhale.
into it.
That's too
But
funny.
I just, so anyway, I wailed on his truck, and I just gave him the death glare, and then I just walked silently back to my car. The light turned
That's-
green, and then I
that's too
passed him violently. It was magical.
What's this next piece on the
So we got the Pro Tour Hall of Fame ballots are getting ready to be due here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Pretty
sweet.
Yeah, pretty neat. There's a couple of people who seem like they're Paul Rietzel. I keep hearing his name over and over and
Yeah,
over
he,
again.
I think he's just about a lock. Him and Macchiato Miyahara.
Yeah, Mahara.
Yeah, both of those are pretty much the two big names that everyone is talking about. Which Mihara, he's been pretty consistent through his whole career, from what I understand. He has 5 Grand or Pro Tour top 8s.
And sorry, Mahara. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
correct.
So that's good. So he's pretty much a lock. Rietzel, on the
Has
other
the
hand,
W, right? Like
he has the
He
W.
took one down.
he took down Amsterdam, I think, in 2012.
That's
No, it
impressive.
was-
Yeah,
it
I
was
wouldn't know off the
before
top of my
that.
head.
But yeah, he took it away from Brad Nelson on his big year. I remember seeing that. He did it in a sweep too. But after that, he has 3 Pro Tours altogether and quite a impressive Grand Prix finishing. And from what I understand, he's a fairly good guy as well. Not Reek Duke good, but fairly
Right.
fairly much a good guy.
Yeah,
So-
I would personally, like, again, I don't have any votes. I don't supposed to, but Wafotapa, Mr. Control himself. I know that he's at the requirements. He's been kind of on the bubble, I guess.
He's controversy around him.
yes, certainly.
Once they go Hall of Fame, is it like they're in for good?
Yeah.
Or they have to like get back?
I mean,
in
I think probably if you were caught like red-handed cheating or something, they might kick you
they
out.
might kick you out. Like,
But
yeah.
once you're in, you don't have to like
yeah,
re-qualify or
like
anything, yeah.
with Tomohiro Saito, which is another guy who's having a lot of talk.
Right.
He like actually got all the votes to get into Pro Tour Hall of Fame. He was in, and then right before he got inducted,
He was inducted, yeah.
he was DQ'd and suspended for, I think it was 18 months.
Right. I know he was suspended for cheating. So
Yeah, for slow play. play or
personally, though,
something.
okay. So with Saito, he has such a huge effect on deck building, and every Pro Tour people look for his list to come up. Like he affects the pro community without ever even
the
being
meta
at
game.
Pro Tour. Yeah.
Yes.
He's like a single man metagame shifter. So like when it comes to like Hall of Fame, like he certainly is famous, and I mean there's a lot to be said for cheating and stuff, but also I think like people can improve and get better. And
We all make
I don't
mistakes.
know. I think it'd be personally cool if he got in, but I could be wrong about
with
that.
him, it's been multiple mistakes is another thing.
Yeah,
So
repeat
that's-
offender. But
that's-
not every person in other sports who's like in the Hall of Fame is a good person, right?
Kobe Bryant.
yes.
Bless you.
Yeah.
Thanks. Go Jazz.
That's one way to look at it, and it all depends on what lens you're viewing it from, because he has most definitely been a positive outlook in the community with his decks, like you were saying before. Like he shares so much and he puts so much out there, but at the same time, he's a sketchy character.
Right. But I don't know. I think actually the sketchy characters add some depth and some interest to the community. Personally, that's
Maybe.
and I say
Let
as
us
like,
move on.
yeah, okay.
Okay, and the last piece. Well, okay, second to last piece here.
So Star City Games Grand Prix Orlando. So Star City Games have been known to do their awesome Grand Prix. They did their Gold Rush. They did their Grand Prix Richmond. They've just done phenomenal Grand Prix. It's
Right. And they're tournament organizers,
fairly
right?
well known. They're tournament organizers. They're their online store. They're pretty well known for doing such things. Well, their newest big thing, they've got Orlando coming up. I think it's at the end of this year or at
It's
the
like
beginning.
I think it's in October.
Yeah, okay, October sounds about right. But the playmat for this, they have released that it's going to be a park map, like
Orlando
Universal Studios.
style,
I
yeah.
saw that. Like, if you look actually,
Dominaria,
if you go to
right?
their website,
Yes.
you can actually see. That's one of the first things that pulls up on their like headlining news is their playmat. You can check it out and stuff.
Yeah, to where
And I don't remember her name, but she does all the artwork, like a little cutesy pen.
Liz Nugent.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha. The
yeah.
cute stuff.
Yeah, she does a lot of that. But the cool thing about this is it comes with more than just a map. It's like a scavenger hunt to where you can run over and earn these different pins that you can then attach to your playmat as like a
like badges of
badges of
like
valor.
Boy Scout badges. In fact,
Yeah, something like that.
You know, interesting. Okay, we dogged on how bad VIP is. If you're VIP at that event, you get every badge.
Which I don't know how
is this
good
like
that
Pokemon
actually
gym
is.
leader? Like,
Like, sure, you get all the badges, but it takes away the journey of it all. Like, that's why I
right.
want the badges, for the journey.
I know.
To say, hey, I
Life-
actually went through this.
you
Life
are a
is a
Sasquatch
journey.
one.
Life is a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Journeys are,
Yeah.
it's a race.
Journey's a band.
Just make sure it stops at. Don't stop.
Believing.
Hold on to that feeling.
Like some little like Filipino kid now that's
I know it. I heard that.
That's the lead singer.
Yeah.
And he speaks like a lick of English, but man, he can
He
sing
can
Journey.
sing. I know it. He's amazing.
Anyway, we have a set
One-
review.
And we
What
certainly
we-
don't
I-
suppose that we can.
But
see.
I have one more piece of news. Homestar Runner may be returning. My wife sent me this link today. If you don't know who Homestar Runner is,
Homestar10.com. It's .com.
and that's
Oh,
all.
is that Trogdor?
Yeah,
Trogdor.
it's where
That's
Trogdor the
yeah.
Burninator.
The Burninator.
Yeah.
Any-
So
anybody
that's
who's
all.
a '90s
The
kid.
ugly one.
Let's move
the
along.
cheerleader.
Are you going to keep talking? Okay.
Draw step.
All right, that was the draw step, although that was a little bit soft because I did turn this down a little bit. And on our draw step, as we traditionally do on set reviews, we choose really important cards. And Blades, you're up first.
King of Diamonds. So you didn't do a recording for this one, so I'll just rush through it real quick. King of Diamonds. Red Diamond. Cool-looking king guy. Not stabbing himself in the head.
Thank you. Okay, Damon.
You can find me in the clubs. I'm Jack of Clubs.
He's all about the club. All right. And I'm up next. I'm playing with the Queen of Hearts. Okay, that's me.
I'm the Joker.
Yep. Or at least, at the very least, Harley
I'm
Quinn.
Batman. I mean Joker.
All right, and that wraps up our draw step. Moving right along. Ooh, that didn't play.
Do do do
Let me go back.
do
Move.
do
Don't
do.
talk over
Try
it.
it again.
Don't talk over it.
Main phase.
All right.
There we go.
So this is the part of the show where we main stuff.
Yeah, we're really excited to be bringing you for the first time ever live our review show of M15. We've never done this live before, so we're excited for you guys, especially who are streaming with us today. And essentially, we're trying to give our own thoughts and views on these cards, but each one of us from a slightly different perspective. So we'll be reading each card for those of you who are in podcast land later on, and then we'll be exploring it from terms of flavor, from rules perspective, from constructed playability, from finance. And kind of just rapid fire. We're hoping to hit each card, in really like maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes at the very most, which sounds like a long time, but it's, we try to keep it moving.
Let's see if we can do this first try.
All right.
Right.
Here we go.
Ajani Steadfast. Costs 3 colorless and 1 white for a 4 loyalty Mythic Rare Planeswalker Ajani. +1 ability, up to one target creature gains +1/+1 lifelink, vigilance, and first strike until end of turn. -2 ability, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and put one loyalty counter on each other planeswalker you control. -7 ability, you get an emblem with, if a source would deal damage to you or a planeswalker you control, prevent all but one damage.
So the really cool thing here, in the picture, he's wearing Elspeth's cape, and if you were around for Theros, you'll know that she perished in the story at the end of the last block.
Spoilers!
And so, anyways, he was helping her out. He was mentoring her as a hero, and now he's carrying on the tradition with her cape. So that's pretty darn neat. Also, interesting little factoid. The picture used here sold at auction for $14,000.
The original artwork.
Yeah,
And
kind of crazy.
And it looks
so.
better than what you
Is
see
it-
on the screen.
Oh, it's Chris Ron.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Yes.
sweet.
All right. So on his +1, you don't need a creature to make him go up. It's a May ability, so he can just go up on his own. On his -2, he puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, so only your guys, and a loyalty counter on each other planeswalker you control, so not him, but everybody else. And then his -7, just everything that comes at you is prevented down to 1 damage.
And that doesn't affect loss of life, correct?
Correct.
Also, this goes great in a large variety of decks. I mean, it's everything kind of White wants to do. Whether you're going wide with lots of different creatures, many creatures, or going tall with just big creatures, this guy is for you. He's also, his -2 ability, like we just talked about, he works very, very good with planeswalkers. But I feel like he's going to be definitely a huge in like any type of Super Friends type deck where they're just playing tons of different planeswalkers. I feel like he's a definite improvement over the old Johnny, the 3-mana costing one, Call of the Pride.
Call of the Pride?
Yes, agreed.
And he started off about $20. He's still there. Demand for him seems pretty average. I think that his -2 ability is likely to be the key to the card. I do expect him to sell off to around the $10 range, maybe 15 to 10 overall. Next.
Avacyn, Guardian Angel. Costs 2 colorless and 3 white for a 5/4 rare legendary creature, Angel. Ability text, Flying, Vigilance. Pay 1 colorless and 1 white, prevent all damage that would be dealt to another target creature this turn by sources of the color of your choice. Pay 5 colorless and 2 white, prevent all damage that would be dealt to target player this turn by sources of the color of your choice.
So she's first in a cycle of legendary creatures, 1 for each color. And we saw Avacyn last in Avacyn Restored from the Innistrad block. In that particular block, she granted indestructibility to all your permanents. And this is a little more of a leaner, meaner version. And certainly still feels very much like Avacyn. And I think Papa Soren, who as a planeswalker created her to protect the plane, would be pretty proud. So anyways, she's pretty awesome. She's an angel. I think she's going to be popular, and I like her a lot. So.
Mm-hmm. Remember that her 1 colorless, 1 white ability to prevent all damage that would be dealt to another target creature says another, so you cannot do it to save her.
Yeah, I think with 3 white symbols and her mana and her casting cost is going to make her very hard to splash in any other type of deck other than maybe like a mono white. She's going to be very, very heavy on the white side. But the ability to protect other creatures, you know what I mean, seems really good. Flying Vigilance means she's going to be attacking and blocking all day. And 7 mana to be able to prevent all damage of a color of your choice is great. I mean, they could swing out with all their green critters, and you could just prevent all the damage that they would all do that turn. I feel like she's just going to be really good, especially in a deck that's playing like Shrine of Nykthos and more of a mono-white type deck. I think she's pretty powerful.
Okay, and for some reason, I just lost my
Connection.
yeah, I don't know what happened there. Hang on a second.
Also, like 5/4 is actually pretty decent body too.
Yeah, 5/4 is a fine body. Does
What-
not die to lightning bolt.
Where did you go?
Oh yeah, I'd run that body. Blocks resto all day.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I don't
where
think
that
she'll see
went.
modern play at all though.
Probably not.
Although, really, truly, the 3 white mana symbols in a Nykthos white deck.
I was about to say
Yeah.
the same
That's what I was
thing,
just-
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it makes like the activating her 7 ability like very feasible.
very, very feasible. Yeah.
Yep.
Almost there.
I just wanted to activate it to, stop a grape shot.
Yeah, the
just
only
once in my lifetime.
the only downside is that we'd never really seen white devotion yet.
Right.
So
yeah,
we
depending on
don't
what
know-
we get, though.
Honestly, yeah.
Yeah,
Go-
a lot of the things going into it doesn't seem feasible just yet.
Okay.
Even though we did have a lot of token producers, and that looks like maybe what white might be going towards.
So this is a $3 card. I think it'll hold most of its value because it's costed right, except for the 3 mana, like you said, for its abilities, and it has relevant abilities. It's definitely not a standard bomb, but supply and demand, I think, will kind of keep it in check.
Hushwing Gryph costs 2 colorless and 1 white for a 2/1 rare creature, Hippogriff. Ability text, flash, flying. Creatures entering the battlefield don't cause abilities to trigger.
All right, so hippogriffs are supposed to have been very, very fast. So the flash on this creature makes a whole lot of sense. Horses and griffins were apparently natural enemies, but they breed to make a hippogriff. So they're supposed to be the symbol of love, and I guess maybe that's why everybody just calms the heck down at the awkward family reunion and doesn't cause enter the battlefield abilities to trigger. That flavor.
So you cast this in response to a creature entering the battlefield. If you do it in response to the activation of it already entered the battlefield, it's too late. This also will negate not just the text that's on the creature card. For anything else that says, whenever something enters the battlefield, do this. It's going to negate those as well.
I think that I'm being a little bit schizophrenic about this card. I mean, I love it and I hate it because being a Birthing Pod player, I just Torpor Orb on a stick seems terrible to me. But I mean, the potential of this to be able to see play in Standard and Modern is huge, right? Modern's a lot of creatures that enter the battlefield and give value. Being able to flash this guy in, he's kind of like an even mind sensor in that aspect, right? Also in Standard though, he'll definitely probably see play in Mono White. I mean, Gray Merchant of Asphodels. When he comes into play and target player loses X life and you gain X life, Hippogriff, he'll stop that from happening. He'll also stop things like Ashen Rider coming into play and exiling a permanent. He'll also stop things like Perforos, for instance. Perforos coming into play and causing him to be able to shoot somebody, like another creature into the battlefield and shoot somebody for 2. It'll actually prevent that trigger from going on the stack. So I feel like definitely worth picking up if you're playing white in Standard or in Modern. I think this will definitely see play. And I wish things like this happened in my family reunion.
So this
To calm everything down.
So this card started at about $2.50 and it immediately went up to $4. This is one card to keep your eye on. Its casting costs and abilities are all relevant. What makes a card like this hold a reasonable price versus going up to an unreasonable value is all going to depend on whether it finds a deck to be in.
I did want to say one more thing I forgot. Constellation stops the Constellation trigger from enchantments entering the battlefield as creatures,
Yes.
which is huge. Sorry.
It's huge. Constellation's probably going to see a decrease in play anyway, but this does greatly affect that.
Okay, here we go.
Mass Calcify costs 5 colorless and 2 white for a rare sorcery. Ability text, destroy all non-white creatures.
All right, so the real cool thing about this particular spell is that white frequently gets mass board removal, and white also likes everything to look the same. They really like homogenous groups of things. They like everything to stay in line and be the same together and build community. And what better way to have a homogenized group of things than just a bunch of white statues? So, anyways, I don't know. That's how I see this card.
Wow, that sounded a bit racist.
No.
White
not that.
statues.
Well, no, look
I
at
see
the
where
artwork,
we're
man.
going.
It's calcified, man. It's not my fault the calcium's white. Okay.
Thank you, Mother Earth. Anything with a white mana symbol in it, in their mana cost, is considered a white creature. Even the gold cards that contain like a white and 1 black. The hybrid mana cost as well is also considered to be a white creature as well.
Destroying all 9 white creatures seems great against anything that's not mono white, right? Well, it'll be good limited, and it'll definitely see sealed play. But at 7 CMC, it seems like it's really steep on the curve to see any amount of competitive play. I mean, maybe in that Shrine of Nykthos deck we were talking about earlier, even then, I kind of doubt it.
Definitely there, probably.
Yeah, and this card started at about 75 cents. So this is an interesting case study because this card's a reprint from Shadowmoor, and it's gone up, and the Shadowmoor version has gone up over the last year from about 50 cents to $1.50. But now that it's in one of the intro decks, it's pretty much guaranteed to be a bulk rare, but maybe just a little bit above. So, anyway. Next.
Preeminent Captain costs 2 colorless and 1 white for a 2/2 rare creature, Kithkin Soldier. Ability text, First Strike. Whenever Preeminent Captain attacks, you may put a soldier creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking.
So I like 11sies. I like tea. I like lunch. I like dinner time and supper, all of those things. So as personally being a giant version of a Hobbit, I can really appreciate that Lorwyn had its own version of Hobbits that were called Kithkin. Certainly one of the bases of the White Weenie strategy at the time, and one of the stronger decks from that era. Pretty cool. And yeah, the fact that he brings friends along with him, again, just goes right into White's wheelhouse.
I like how you shave your feet.
Kithkin's actually interesting too, because Kithkin's like of the same kith and kin, like
Right.
it's
Yeah.
pretty sweet. Anyway,
Yeah.
Cool words.
Kithkins are all about the Thought Weft, which is a lot like a community of minds. But remember that he puts them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. This, like Launch the Fleet, will not cause battalions or other effects trigger because they are not there during the declare attacker step. So there's no you flash in a Brimaz, you don't get the token. Other benefits is that you don't have to pay their mana cost, and it's not casting, so control decks can't counter what you're actually putting into play.
Yep. White weenies, anybody? I mean, do I need to say anything else? This seems like just perfect in a white weenies soldier type deck. Hopefully we get some more soldiers here in Khans of Tarkir to possibly get this guy on the ball and rolling, you know what I mean? But right now we do have a lot of soldiers in the Boros block, so if you're looking to play with this guy, I would definitely go check out some cards from like Gatecrash and Dragon's Maze and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Notably Brimaz as well, right?
Yes, he is one as well. I'm actually going to be playing a list that's going to hopefully take advantage of this guy tonight on Fight Club, FYI.
Yeah, this is gonna be awesome. This was this is currently a $5 card from Morningtide. The M15 printing is starting at $3, so I certainly, while it's probably not a super chase rare, I definitely see it holding its value and probably working its way back to at least the $5 range, etc. Let's see.
Resolute Archangel costs 5 colorless and 2 white for a 4/4 rare creature, Angel. Ability text, Flying. When Resolute Archangel enters the battlefield, if your life total is less than your starting life total, it becomes equal to your starting life total.
So, the Guardian Angel. You're in a bad spot. You're about to die. Oh my gosh. Cast Resolute Archangel. Boom. You start the game back over, essentially, from your life total. Seems like a great way to dig yourself out of a hole, but just it feels very angel-y to me, so I like that a lot.
So how much life you're going to gain is depending on what format you're playing. EDH, you're starting with 4. Two-headed Giant, you start with 30. So it'll just gain you back to that base starting life total. But if your opponent does cast something like Skullcracker on you in response to
Erebos.
casting this, or Erebos, things that say that you cannot gain life, you will not gain life off of Archangel here. Your life total will stay the same since it's counted as gaining life.
Isn't it like Rock's Faith Mentor that doubles when in that double? Or
Yes.
does it just go straight back to 20?
It's
It just goes back to your life.
Yeah,
You're not
just
gaining
double.
that amount.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just kind of curious. But 7 mana for a 4/4 flyer seems terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But gaining back your life, back to your original life total, like they just said, EDH going back up to 40 seems great. Going even back up to 20 when you're low at like 5 or 6 life, that's huge, right?
Yeah.
Now with Sphinx's Revelation possibly going out of standard in the current meta, I feel like this might be kind of the end goal for blue-white control lists. Is this
A
will
stabilizer.
be their stabilizer to allow them to kind of swing back in the game. Seems like a great reanimator target if you're looking for cool things like that. I definitely can see it being played in like EDH and stuff like that. We'll see in standard how competitive it will be though.
Yeah, this is a card that's actually pushing me toward maybe playing white at the pre-release. Starting price for this lady is $1. Since it's one of the cards in the intro deck, this will that'll hold its price down considerably. If it wasn't, I think it would be $2 to $3 probably. 7 mana obviously is a ton for a 4/4, but resetting your life total is awesome. And think about if you just had a way to flicker her every time you got down on life. You know, just saying. I don't know. Anyway, all right, next.
Return to the ranks. Cost X colorless and 2 white for a rare sorcery. Ability text, Convoke. Your creatures can help cast this spell. Each creature you tap while casting this spell pays for 1 or 1 mana of that creature's color. Return X target creature cards with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
So white is secondary to black as far as bringing creatures back from the graveyard to the battlefield, as far as color pie is concerned. And that in concert with Convoke is really neat. It's like, just all your creatures holding hands and sort of doing a kumbaya dance, and boom, all their dead friends came back. I could definitely
Is
see
that how that works?
Yeah, for sure. So anyways, the Convoke mixed with the bringing back to life, mixed with the creatures working together, to me creates kind of a really neat feel for the card.
Yeah. So Convoke, that's a returning mechanic in this set. It was originally from Ravnica, City of Guilds. It was the Celestia
Ability, right?
ability there. It has actually been changed from its original version. So some of your older ones that you may have played with, they don't exactly play the same. So with M14, they made a change to it to where before you could tap all sorts of mana and excessive amounts of people into it to make it cost less. This one is just going to add up like mana. It's not used it's not used as mana, but it's a like mana source that is almost the same thing. So, like your Llanowar Elves that tap to do a mana ability, this is not a mana ability that you're tapping your guys for, so it's going to count otherwise. You can still tap your guys in the casting the spell portion of it, but it will not count as a mana ability.
So what you're saying is, like, Summoning Sickness, you can still tap them to Convoke, correct? Because it is not an activated ability of, like, say, the Llanowar Elf, but it's actually ability of the card that's allowing you to tap your creatures to add mana to the casting cost of the spell, correct?
Right, and since they switched it, so it's like you tap to add 1 to your mana pool, you can no longer tap to add more, so you can't tap more guys than what you necessarily would, like you could do with the untap mechanic that was spoiled recently.
So like the ones so for instance like the X right now, like you can tap to add additional X or whatever, right? But if it has no X, it's just 2 white. You can't tap 3 to cast it. Is that what you're saying?
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
Also, if you can, for this one, you can tap a white creature to negate one of the white mana symbols in the mana cost. You cannot do that with a green creature. It has to share a color with the color identification up there in the corner.
Seems sweet. White Weenie Reanimator. Anybody? This seems great. I love this card. I love reanimating things, and I love it more than I should. With the Convoke ability, you can tap and play creatures immediately and tap them, just like we were just talking about with Blades. But with the creatures being 2 CMC or less, I'm a little kind of curious to see how good it's actually going to be. But maybe if we had some more creatures like Blood Artist or things like that, or like Zathor Necromancer, you know what I mean? Things that will allow you to get extra value. I feel like this could definitely see some standard play. It's really good after the Wrath too.
Rereading through this, it says return X target creature cards with converted mana cost. It's not up to or X or less than. So this one you do need to be accurate on tapping exact.
Gotcha.
This one started at $1 and it's gone up just a little bit. Even at its lowest cost, 3 mana to get a 1/2 mana creature out of the yard isn't terrible. So it can only get better from there, right? So, but as you were saying, I did have that question. So when they come out of the yard, they do have Summoning Sickness, right?
They do have Summoning Sickness.
Wouldn't that just be ridiculous if they didn't?
And any enters the battlefield triggers happen again, unless, of course, your opponent controls a Hippogriff.
All right. Super. This one.
Soul of Theros costs 4 colorless and 2 white for a 6/6 Mythic Rare creature avatar. Ability text: Vigilance. Pay 4 colorless and 2 white. Creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain first strike and lifelink until end of turn. Pay 4 colorless and 2 white. Exile Soul of Theros from your graveyard. Creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain first strike and lifelink until end of turn.
So here we find the first of the Soul Cycle that are all Mythic Rares in this set. One for each color and another one for colorless. So this card has to carry the weight of both representing Theros and white and all kinds of stuff on its shoulders. What's neat is that both the Vigilance, buffing your team, getting first strike because white is a fighting color, all of that feels very, very white. And then turning your little guys into bigger guys that can kill bigger monsters than what they started out as. You know, Theros is all about growth and making heroes. And so I feel like this encompasses both of those flavors really, really well.
Right. So this guy paired with a Johnny's Pridemate, due to his first strike on your creatures, the Pridemate will grow from the lifelink before your opponents normally would have a chance to strike back at him. Since first strike
awesome.
happens, all your abilities happen, you get a chance to cast your spells, then normal damage would happen.
I like the ability that you can pump the mana into it as many times as you want per turn. But
Yep.
New Sun Titan, anyone? Paying 6 mana for his ability is steep, but +2/+2 first strike and lifelink. It's basically kind of like a Gavany Township and a Vault. A little bit. I mean, there's lots of differences, but it seems like it's going to be swinging tempo definitely into your favor very, very, very quickly. I could see him being played in a tokens type deck as the end of the curve and a white weenies finisher. And that's one thing I'm really glad about these souls is bringing back the finishers. Again, white Nykthos.
So this guy started at $12. It's already sold off just a couple of dollars. So I think people are actually underestimating it a little bit. 6 mana for a 6/6 is a decent value. The ability is extremely irrelevant, especially since you already have the mana available to pay for it once you've cast it. So I think this is going to at least hold its value at $10, and it could do a little bit better than that. It's at least this one. I'm feeling pretty good about this one. And next.
Spectra Ward costs 3 colorless and 2 white for a rare enchantment aura. Ability text: Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from all colors. This effect doesn't remove auras.
So what's neat is that the the color spectrum, and this one is giving you protection from all of the different colors. So from that perspective, it's pretty darn neat. And also it just feels like really a game-ending, sort of a sweet ability, but also feels very white because white's all about protecting its creatures. So I really like kind of the flavor of this card, though it's interesting. I can dig it.
Yeah, so with this one, it sort of breaks the rules since it says it has protection from all colors. This effect doesn't remove auras. Normally, when protection says it can't be enchanted by or targeted by. So this sort of... Normally when this
Kind of
happens...
breaks a rule, right?
Yeah. It breaks the rules. So you're going to have to, whenever that happens, you always refer to what's on the card.
Man, that is such a colorful card.
It is.
That is, the artwork on that is amazing. Like they just said, I feel like this could be potentially played in like a Naya hexproof type list. It seems 5 mana is really, really steep for that, though. But the ability that you can put it onto a guy and also have the auras not fall off is sweet. I mean, there's things like Bruna, EDH, decks like that, Ural the Miststalker. This seems like an auto-include for sure. Definitely limited bomb. I don't know how much you'll see playing standard, though.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure this is just a limited bomb because I believe it's going for about 50 cents right now already. It's already sold off, so it's already hit bulk rare.
Imagine the foil.
Maybe a little bit more than a limited rare since Devotion, at least for white, looking through this, might actually be a thing.
Might be a thing, right. Okay, next.
Spirit Bonds costs 1 colorless and 1 white for a rare enchantment. Ability text: whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1 white. If you do, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying onto the battlefield. Pay 1 colorless and 1 white. Sacrifice a spirit. Target non-spirit creature gains indestructible until end of turn.
So this year in M15, there were 15 non-Magic game designers that were invited to help make cards for the set. So not all of them are rares, but as they come up, I'll go ahead and kind of highlight who they were and what their contributions were. So this one was designed by a man by the name of Justin Gary. He was also the designer for the card game Ascension and also Soulforge, so he gets to work alongside Brian Kibler and Richard Garfield on a regular basis. He's also, of the 15 designers they invited, he's the only one that has a Pro Tour win to his name. So he's certainly the most Magic savvy of all the people. You know, some folks just said, I want like a thingy that's very tricksy. As their kind of like initial card design, you know, and he showed up and really just had some neat designs, and they were able to slot this one right in. And from a flavor perspective, it's kind of like these spirits are like your little guardian angels, sacrificing themselves to protect a creature you're on. And if there's any kind of like a weenie strategy, playing stuff slightly behind curve could be neat. And that's not my section because I'm flavor.
Yep. So the white that you play to get your additional spirit, that's separate from any convoke cost you might be playing. So you cannot tap a white creature to activate this extra ability.
It's kind of like extort, right? It's just in it, like you can
Yes,
tack on the cost at the end.
Yes, it actually almost exactly like extort, except instead of dealing 1 damage and gaining 1 life, you get a 1/1 flying guy.
Seems great. I'm suspecting wild speculation here at the
Ooh,
MTGYou.
I love, and also just so everybody knows, whenever Rich says wild speculation, he waves his hands in the air.
It's like
I just
winning the lottery.
Yeah, I love it.
Wow, we win a lottery here a lot.
Yes. I'm kind of suspecting a token theme in Khans of Tarkir, especially maybe in the white-green type stuff. I mean, there usually always is some sort of token theme, but this enchantment early in the game isn't that great, but later in the game when you have excess mana, you're able to pay the 1 and just start making tokens and keeping your big, huge creatures alive. I mean, this feels like a really, really good card in a lot of different white decks. And it protect you from the wrath, things like that. Also making and giving you a team seems really, really efficient as well. I definitely will see. I think this will see some amount of play.
Okay, this guy started at $2. You know, it's a better version of Launch the Fleet, really. And Launch the Fleet is still over $1. So I don't think that it's going to be too bad. I love it too. I mean, make these spirit tokens. Are pretty awesome.
Like Guardian Angels.
Yep. All right, next.
Aether Spouts. Cost 3 colorless and 2 blue for a rare instant. Ability text. For each attacking creature, its owner puts it on top or bottom of his or her library.
So blue has this thing where it really likes to deal with cards in a non-permanent fashion. It likes to handle problems before they start. It likes bouncing things. In fact, the flavor for that is that you are summoning things with mana and putting them onto the battlefield, and so it cuts those mana ties and they fly off the battlefield again. And so this Aether Spouts is kind of has that feeling. And then also, you're giving your opponent the choice of whether or not to bury things on top or the bottom, and so that's kind of interesting as well. But certainly works in the realm of blues. Way that they like to deal with creatures, which is not aggressively and not permanently. So,
Yep. So keep in mind that this says for each attacking creature's its owner. So this happens to you too. So don't play this when you're attacking, for one.
Two-headed giant bomb. Sorry, go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Mind blown. Oh, also, remember it says its owner puts it on top of its layer or on the bottom, so they get to choose. Which is pretty relevant, actually, in case you want to keep some of your bigger guys on top and not drawing your little guys. But I am scared. It's like an Aetherize, but better. I don't want to play against this card. It makes me hate blue even more now.
5 mana at instant speed. Your opponents have probably got an army out.
Yeah,
And
and
you probably have got something to do.
Kind of an unmitigatable wrath, right? But
yeah,
almost better because now you're just having to
like
draw
Wrath
into
plus
things
Time
you've already
Walkiness.
cast.
Yeah.
It's like Azorius
Crappy.
Charm times however many creatures
gets
there are.
around the graveyard shenanigans.
I am not excited. And the artwork's actually pretty sweet, too.
Yeah. Started out on foil, don't you think? When do you want to see that in foil?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Start out at $2, and it'll likely stay that way since wrath effects are needed. So, next, Let's see what the Tooth Fairy has for us next. Oh yeah, this is one of my favorite cards.
Chasm Skulker. Costs 2
Why didn't that
colorless and
update?
1 blue for a 1/1 rare creature, Squid
There it is.
Horror. Ability text. Whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Chasm Skulker. When Chasm Skulker dies, put X 1/1 blue squid tokens with Island Walk on the battlefield, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on Chasm Skulker.
Was designed by Mikey Newman, who works for Gearbox Software, and was the creative director for the game Borderlands. So if you played that one and enjoyed it, he was part of that team. So his initial suggestion for this card was a large evil thing of Cthulhu's nightmares made out of squids. Initially, they wanted to put it in green because that makes sense, getting +1/+1 counters and putting a bunch of creatures on the field. But he was insistent that it was blue. So they found a way to tie it to card drawing, which is really neat. And what's interesting is Gearbox Software has bought me pizza on 2 different occasions when I've been to PAX, and so I feel obligated to be a big fan of this card. And if you'd like to get to know Mikey Newman a little bit better, just search for Anthony Saves the World on YouTube, and you get to see him act kind of poorly, but
It's funny.
it's really funny. It's like classic budget YouTube shenanigans. And I don't know, it's got an interesting story.
He'll never be the prettiest girl at the prom.
Oh, yeah, so that's like Anthony
Neither
Birch and those
will
guys.
any of us.
Oh, by the way, also some mature content included. So as a heads up for our sensitive viewers.
Okay. So with divination, you get to draw 2. So you get 2 +1/+1 counters on them, 1 for each card. Also, you would think normally that with -1/-1 counters, since when you pair up +1/+1 counters with -1/-1 counters, they sort of take each other away. But with this guy, if it's enough to kill him, an excessive amount of -1/- counters, the state-based actions are going to check at the same time, and they're actually going to hit the graveyard at the same time. So by the time that he hits the graveyard and he triggers, last time he was seen with all these +1/+1 counters on him, along with all these -1/-1 counters on him due to last known information. So you are still going to get your squid tokens.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
I love the idea of the Cthulhu, like the feel of this.
You
I
can't
saw
even
this
see it.
card and it actually made me want to play blue for once. Go figure.
Yeah.
Just the flavor and like the mechanic idea is just amazing. It's great. And I think that this could also be relevant in a mono blue style devotion deck too. Because you got Biden Thassa, so now like your Master of the Waves tokens are hitting and putting more counters on this guy, and with military intelligence coming out too, you're able to attack 2 creatures and draw more cards and just net yourself more things, so that when and if they ever have to deal with this guy, you're just getting an army of squids that just want to just devour their opponent. So flavorful, awesome.
Yeah, this now let me just say, this card is the card that's made me want to brew a red-blue deck. And in fact, I think that there's a lot of red-blue synergy in this set. So this guy started at $2. I think this is going to be a thing. This is what I'm guessing. Turn 3, put this down. Turn 4, play aggressive mining, which a lot of people are poo-pooing. Watch this.
Poo-pooing.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
one of them.
Aggressive mining on turn, and then by turn 5, this is a 7/7. Think about it.
Boom.
Yeah.
Mana
Mana
boom.
Because you put
Okay.
1/1 counters on it each turn, not just on your own turn.
Yeah.
Right.
So by turn 7, it's a 7/7, or turn 5, it's a 7/7. If it dies, you have 7 or 6 1/1 with Island Walk. What else can you do with it? I'm guessing you can do a ton of stuff with this.
It also has protection from Whelming Wave.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. I just checked it.
Oh,
We were
just
talking about
kidding.
it in chat. I just checked it, and it
Anyway,
Krakens, Leviathans,
I-
Octopi, and Serpents.
I am really excited for this card.
It's close.
So I think it's going to hold up pretty well. And I'm going out on a limb here. I think it might be a $5 card, even though it's only $2 now. So we'll see.
Wow, $5 really breaking the bank.
Well,
Perforos, just saying.
Oh, Perforos.
jeez.
Perforos.
Going back to his red-blue shenanigans.
Yeah.
Chief Engineer. Costs 1 colorless and 1 blue for a 1/3 rare creature, Vidalcan Artificer. Ability text. Artifact spells you cast have Convoke.
So Vidalcan live on Ravnica and part of a long line of artifact-loving blue guys. Most recently, including Grand Architect. blue naturally wants to enhance itself through any means necessary. It believes that you could take blank slate and turn it into anything it wants to be through learning and technology and everything else. So they're the color that most naturally is drawn to artifacts, and this makes the most sense color pie wise. And I think it'll enable some neato stuff that you guys can talk about.
It's also mirrored in too.
Yes, absolutely a lot of neat stuff. He only works with creatures only, so all of your other artifacts aren't going to be able to convoke into others. But a good way to make your Ornithopters do some serious good.
Yeah, he's got like Springleaf drums for all of your artifact cheap guys, right? I could see him being played in a Chief Engineer Grand Architect type build, so you're able to like tap the Chief Engineer for 2 colorless mana, tap your Grand Architect for 2 colorless mana, play some artifact guys, tap those guys now for more mana, like just kind of chain it up into like something huge. Like right now we've got Darksteel Forge, we've got Trading Post, and Shrapnel Blast. I feel like a red-blue stylized artifact
That's what
deck
I'm
right
talking
now
about.
is like on the way. I
Wait
am
till you
excited.
get to the goblins it makes.
The little bomb. We'll get there.
I know. I am so excited.
But yeah, like I mean, like so basically, like with Grand Architect and this guy, if like you could definitely build the potential of modern play here is actually pretty high. I would a Blue Tron new type deck. This allows you to kind of open the gates into more artifact styles. I'm excited.
So this guy started out at 250. 2 mana for a 1/3 is okay, pretty good. But the real thing is going to be the effect on this card. The price. This card's price is if the ability will be if the ability is relevant. So Convoke, I am told by you guys, is a pretty powerful thing. So I'm guessing that this is actually going to probably be this card is also going to be a thing.
Yeah, especially his fall art game day promos. I'm expecting those to go fairly highly.
Yep. Next.
Jace the Living Guild Pact. Costs 2 colorless and 2 blue for a 5 loyalty Mythic Rare Planeswalker, Jace. Plus 1 ability, look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of them into your graveyard. -3 ability, return another target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. -8 ability, each player shuffles his or her hand and graveyard into his or her library. You draw 7 cards.
So for the savvy looker, you'll see the 10 guild symbols in the background. For a quick sum up, original Ravnica, there's the guilds, and basically they created some magic, said you guys are forced to get along. Then the guild pact broke, and everybody got in a big fight. And a long, long time ago, a planeswalker named Azor founded the Azorius Guild and set in some secret magics that created a giant race through all the different guild gates. And it made it appear as though whoever got through all the guild gates first would be the super winner, but it was secretly a test to see if they could all work together and make sure everybody made it through all the guild gates to the end. And if they didn't, then they would face the supreme verdict, which would like decimate the population of Ravnica and sort of give everything a hard reboot. But Jace was running around with a Martandris, and they kept like picking up the fallen guys and like, it's cool, man, just jump on like our beasties' backs and we'll all get there together. And so when they made it to the end, sort of a visage of Azor came out and was like, Jace, you did such a good job at making everyone be friends, so you are the new guild pact. And he's like, but I'm not from here. And then Azor's like, I'm not either, because I'm a planeswalker. Anyways, that's a very quick sum up of the books that I read.
Oh,
So,
goosebumps.
yeah.
So,
Did we mention spoilers?
Guild
Spoiler alert.
Go ahead.
so his abilities, look at the top 2 cards of your library. Put one of them into your graveyard. So it's like effectively your scrying. That's pretty fine. -3, return another target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. It can be yours or your opponent's. He can bounce other planeswalkers. He can bounce just about anything that's not a land or an emblem. Each player shuffles his or her hand in graveyard into his or her library. You draw 7 cards. So if your opponent has 0 cards in his or her hand and their 0 cards in their graveyard, then they do not actually shuffle their library since they have nothing to shuffle in, or they're missing a lot of those first targets. It says that they do in the release notes, but Matt Tavak has came out as stating that to be wrong.
Best Jace ever. Why, you may ask? Because the amount of debate he has had just recently in the past couple weeks reminds me of why we love Magic. Everyone has their own different play style, and there's lots of niches that haven't been filled, and I feel like he definitely fits a new niche in the blue section of Planeswalkers that they haven't fit before. His -3 works great with getting rid of Planeswalkers and things like that, or enchantments, but what makes me more drawn to him and why I think he's really sweet is his -8 ability. Just the ability to shuffle everything up, and then only you draw 7 cards and not your opponents seems great. I mean, if you don't win the game after that, then you probably shouldn't be playing Magic.
Okay. So he started, as most Planeswalkers do, they start about $20. I think this, it's like these guys said, I think people aren't giving him enough credit. I think he's much more powerful than a lot of people have been saying.
Boo.
Blue-black Reanimator.
Yeah. Even as far as saying that he's the worst Jace so far, I disagree, because he can come down on turn 4 with 5 loyalty, immediately tick up to 6, basically scrying 2, leaving only 2 turns to get turns to reset the game with 7 cards in your hand and 0 in your opponent's. So there you go. I mean, as an aggro player, this scares me to death. You have to respond to him. There's no doubt about it. And actually, I want to be right about this too, because I think this is a really cool card. So I'm guessing he's going to settle at least above 10, and I think that he has a chance of being a $15, $20 Planeswalker in the long run.
Do we know what he's at right now?
He is at, I think he's still around 20.
Okay,
Yep.
seems fair.
Yep, he's still pre-sailing.
I think he is really bad too. I'm just saying best Jace ever because it's making everybody actually debate about cards for once, which they never do. So.
Oh, okay. Well, like I say, I think he's better than people are giving him credit for. So there you have it.
Niche.
Okay. You call me Mitch?
Niche, like
I know what you
Niche.
said.
I think it's niche.
Jalira, Master Polymorphous. Costs 3 colorless and 1 blue for a 2/2 rare legendary creature, human wizard. Ability text: pay 2 colorless and 1 blue. Tap, sacrifice another creature. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a non-legendary creature card. Put that card on the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order.
So this is another in the legendary creature cycle. And Polymorph has been a blue spell for a while now in different Polymorph style effects. Blue like switching creature types and powers and toughness and things like that. However, it's there's a lot of magic lingo out there, and one of them is like, she's like a polymorph on a stick. So whenever you have a classic instant or sorcery or enchantment and you tag that onto a creature, it's now that ability on a stick. So for example, Jalira is a polymorph on a stick, and now you know.
So remember that it is a non-legendary creature that she goes into. So you can sacrifice another legendary creature to go get a non-legendary creature like Damon's doing in his list for Fight Club recently, where he just plays a singleton World Spine Worm, where everything else in it is either tokens or legendary creatures. So he's guaranteed to constantly just polymorph into the World Spine Worm.
Stay tuned and or check it out.
Yeah, like I could see her definitely in like a Bant tokens or a junk tokens and things like that, which is what Damon's definitely doing. But once Worldspine Worm rotates out of standard, we're gonna have a big, huge other creature to kind of take the play for what the creature. Sorry, once Worldspine Worm rotates out of standard, we're gonna have another big creature for her to flip into. And you could bring in like Stormtide Leviathan, which seems okay because it's a moat type ability. It's an 8/8, win con basically,
Stabilizes,
right? Yeah, I mean, kind of can stabilize you, but I mean, it's still not as good as Worldspine Worm per se. But the other thing is too, I could see her maybe in Modern, not really. 4 mana is high, 2/2 is really low. It's boltable, it's killable in almost every single thing ever. But I mean, just like the ability to flip into something big is pretty sweet. EDH definitely, I could see her seeing play in.
So Jalira is already polymorphed from a $2 card to a $1 card. So, so I just want to say that this will probably keep shrinking down to a bulk rare.
I'm the only one who loves her.
Oh, I actually like this card a lot. And I love watching Damon play, but I'm watching her shrink. So
Hey, Damon, if you buy him now, at least maybe you can get him at a deal, or
You
maybe
can lose some value.
you can and probably will lose value on
Yeah.
her if you buy her for $1 right now.
I do like the artwork though. It's a little bunny turning into an alligator.
I know it. It's cool. We like it, and I want to see deck.
Whatever. I'm
Damon-
gonna make the deck famous, and I'm gonna buy like 100 of them, and you fools are gonna laugh because I'll
it's
sell
gonna-
them out at $5 a piece.
I am hoping.
Also, she's from Ravnica. You can tell by her Azorius tattoo.
Oh, that is so cool.
Boom.
I totally
Good
missed
for you. Way to go, flavor person. Just kidding.
That. Are you sure that's Azorius?
Maybe not. It
I
looks
think
a
you're
little bit
full of
Azorius.
it. That looks like a triangle thing.
I lied.
I already went there.
Go.
We could. Hey, you know what we can do here? Vroom.
I don't
See
know.
that? Everybody see that?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
You know what's not making it in podcast land?
Move in right along.
No, no, no.
Master of Predicaments. Costs 3 colorless and 2 blue for a 4/4 rare creature, Sphinx. Ability text, Flying. Whenever Master of Predicaments deals combat damage to a player, choose a card in your hand. That player guesses whether the card's converted mana cost is greater than 4. If the player guesses wrong, you may cast the card without paying its mana cost.
So David Serlin was the designer for this card. He was also responsible for Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Boy, that's a mouthful. Anyways, and he's done a lot of work in his game design with the concept of Yomi, or working with what you know and what your opponent knows and what you know that your opponent knows, and the fact that your opponent knows that you know some of the things that he knows.
Inconceivable.
Inconceivable. And so he really wanted to design a card in which you could really have some mind games, and I really like the mini game that this starts. It feels very blue. It dragons, and so it feels very sphinxy, very smart, very blue. It's a card that I really look forward to playing, probably just in limited, but it seems like a blasty blast. So
Yeah, fairly random. So if you choose a card with X in its mana cost, remember that X is considered 0 until specified to be another number. With this one, it will always be X, since you would normally specify it during the time of mana cost. So
Be 0, right?
yes, so it'll stay 0, and you will cast it for 0.
This card looks like a lot of fun to be played in limited. I mean, just being able to cheat big guys into play or little guys seems great. In constructed, I doubt he'll see him play, except for maybe in like fun casual decks. Not competitive enough, but can you imagine? The amount of guessing games you can have with your friends. Double strike anyone? This card is so flavorful. It's an auto win in my book because you get 2 casts with double strike.
So I'm starting. This one started at $1. This is actually a more skill-based card than it appears. So I can see demand for this with both casual crowd and, as weird as it may sound, with some tournament folks. Individual mileage will vary depending on how well you can bluff. And so your average person is probably not going to do very well with this. But think if you're a really good skilled player at bluffing, you might get extreme value out of this, meaning that this might be something you might see. While it may not be a really expensive card, if this in the right hands might actually win some games. Boom, drop the mic. Just kidding. Where am I? Oh, here I am.
Mercurial Pretender. Costs 4 colorless and 1 blue for a 0/0 rare creature, Shapeshifter. Ability text. You may have Mercurial Pretender enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature you control, except it gains. Pay 2 colorless and 2 blue. Return this creature to its owner's hand.
So clones are a classic blue creature all the way back from Alpha, but I always imagined them as essentially a blank slate. They were just a copy of a thing. And the fact that he can return to your hand at instant speed, be upgraded to other creatures later on, for the first time really seems to give this shapeshifter sort of his own identity, that he's sort of gaming and trying to be the best creature that he can be at any given time, and also dodge removal. So it's a simple ability, but I feel like it adds a lot of fun, flavorful play to the card and makes it actually feel like its own creature, not just some random thing. So I like it quite a lot.
So clones as a whole, they normally come out and they can target anything on the battlefield, yours or your opponent's. This one is sort of streamlined only towards yours. So that's a bit of a setback for him, already being a bit more expensive on that end. But just remember that it's only creatures you control.
Yeah, cloning to be able to change who it is at, instant speed, to be able to recast him again, during your turn, whatever. It seems really good. Blue needed an ability like this. It seems like a sweet EDH and casual play card. I don't think you'll see any competitive play, but I mean, it's kind of like a pseudo flickering type effect, right? You could bounce back and recast it and get pseudo flickering effects.
So this is one of the cards in the intro decks. So that will immediately that almost guarantees it tank to bulk rare level. It just seems too expensive to be taken seriously. And I was just saying, aren't there better copy spells already? So, anyway, bulk rare. Let's see.
Polymorphist's Jest costs 1 colorless and 2 blue for a rare instant. Ability text: until end of turn, each creature target player controls loses all abilities and becomes a blue frog with the base power and toughness 1/1.
So we talked about earlier, Polymorph is a classic blue trick. And, I mean, can you imagine just, hey, if you guys don't cut it out, I'm going to turn you all into frogs. That's a funny jest you have there.
Do you see the frogs on the horse too?
Yeah.
Read the flavor text. The flies are bothering me. Jalira, Master Polymorphist.
Yeah, that is great.
Frogs are better.
So the interesting thing about this is that, for one, it's instant speed, so it's going to lead to a lot of blowouts. But for two, they're doing something new with this new core set by using base power and toughness. What this is referring to is what the card originally is, where this one is a 1/1. Sometimes the base power and toughness is just the power and toughness that is normally at the bottom of a card. This is to try and help newer players get around
+1/+1 counters. And
+1/+1 counters and giant growth effects until end of turn.
Right, because, it's already there in the rules, right? Now they're just explicitly saying it within the rules about base power and stuff. So if you have somebody enchanted or something, right, it stays... it still gets a +2/+2 or whatever from the enchantment, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
So instead of being like a 2/2 with a +2/+2 enchantment, now it's a 1/1 with a +2/+2 enchantment.
Right.
Sudden Spoiling Reprint. It's kind of what it reminds me of, minus the split second. It's kind of ish that way. 3 mana to make your opponent's creatures into teeny tiny guys seems pretty interesting. Potential play against decks are playing large creatures, but I can definitely a good EDH combo breaker card, much like Sudden Spoiling, and the fact that it also prevents them from loses all their abilities and stuff too. So it could be a combo breaker.
Mono blue?
Huh?
Mono blue? Aggro? Maybe?
Mono blue aggro? I don't know.
Just thinking.
Food for thought, but I doubt it. I don't think so.
So this actually originally was going to be a green card, but the Henson Studio made them change it. I'm just kidding. Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
Oh,
See where I was going with that?
being green.
Anyway, started at $1. If and when this goes down to bulk, I would say this one might be good to pick up as an interesting spec, because in the long run, who knows? This is one of those kind of cards that could really pop at some point and see some interesting play.
Go to $2.
Right. Well, but if you pick it up low and sell it high, isn't that the way it works? Oh no, wait. Damon buys high and sells low.
That's what I specialize in, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Soul of Ravnica costs 4 colorless and 2 blue for a 6/6 Mythic Rare creature avatar. Ability text: flying. Pay 5 colorless and 2 blue, draw a card for each color among permanents you control. Pay 5 colorless and 2 blue, exile Soul of Ravnica from your graveyard, draw a card for each color among permanents you control.
So here's our second in the Soul cycle. The blue one represents the plane of Ravnica, which of course is all about the 10 different 2-color guilds. And so that really plays up a multicolor theme, and this card certainly rewards you for playing multicolors. And also classic blue ability, of course, is flying. So it's a 6/6 flyer. Just something to think about when you're thinking about this card. Anyways, but overall, flavor home run. I dig it.
Yeah, so graveyard abilities are rarely seen these days, but when specified, you can trigger these abilities without having the card in play. So it's like getting free value from the graveyard. Also, you draw a card for each color among permanents you control. If you control the new Sliver Legion,
Sliver
Hive Lord, one of him, he is all 5 colors. So you would draw 5 cards off of him.
Chromanticore.
Chromanticore as well.
Some argue that he's worse than Frost Titan, and some argue he's better. But a 6/6 flyer for 6 isn't bad at all. It's actually pretty solid. Paying 7 mana to draw cards for the colors of permanents you control feels like a letdown, but I definitely feel like this is going to be a good card in any 5-color EDH deck, because paying 7 mana to draw 5 cards seems great. Also, I think it could be a limited bomb for sure.
Oh, yeah.
So this one started at $5. It's already sold off to about $3. I think this might be the weakest of all of the Avatar cycle. Plus, this one is one of the promos from the Duels of the Planeswalkers 2015. So that's going to add more printings to the mix. So I could see this one being $1 or $2 actually. Let's see. I should figure out where I am here. I totally
It's that
forgot.
guy I talked about.
Oh, there we are.
Stormtide Leviathan. Costs 5 colorless and 3 blue for an 8/8 rare creature, Leviathan. Ability text, Island Walk. All lands are islands in addition to their other types. Creatures without flying or Island Walk can't attack.
Okay, guys, so go with me on this little journey. You have this big giant sea creature that when he comes up out of the water brings all this water with him. That's enough for him to swim around and kind of do whatever he wants. Also, all this water is so disrupting that no other creatures that don't have flying can get around. And doesn't matter if you had a forest next to your house, doesn't matter if you had a swamp next to your house, maybe you're even hiding on a mountain. He just washed a whole bunch of water up into your little village, and it's also an island too. So for, flavor perspective, as far as the way the flavor combines with functionality of the card, I feel like this guy is a lot cooler than I initially gave him credit for.
Yep. So all lands are islands in addition to their other types. That means that your lands, your opponent's lands, they can now tap for blue mana on top of what they could already do.
Similar to Urborg, right?
Yes.
8 mana for an 8/8 critter that has a moat type effect and changes land types is crazy. Valid reanimator target and limited bomb, but it's a reprint even during M13 when it first saw play, it didn't see any competitive play at all. Fun in EDH. The moat effect. Moat is an older card that prevented you from attacking unless you had a flyer or an island walk guy. So it kind of still flavorful there. And he's basically unblockable because you're making everything islands and he's island walk. So this is the guy I was talking about with Jalira.
Yep. Bulk rare, like it was when it was printed first. So there, I added more words than just bulk rare, Rich.
Under the bus?
All right. This
I
one.
was just saying how much I liked when you were adding
I know.
flavor, and it was awesome.
I know.
Cruel Sadist. Costs 1 black for a 1/1 rare creature, Human Assassin. Ability text, pay 1 black. Tap, pay 1 life, put a 1/1 counter on Cruel Sadist. Pay 2 colorless and 1 black. Tap, remove X 1/1 counters from Cruel Sadist. Cruel Sadist deals X damage to target creature.
So Edmund McMullen was the designer for the indie game Super Meat Boy. And if you ever played that, it's like Super Mario Brother on steroids. The game is crazy hard. And you just have to jump through all these crazy platforms, and your guy just misses over and over again. And when you finally beat the level, it shows you every attempt that you had up to that point. So you just see a whole bunch of exploding meat boys as you failed over and over and over again. So if there ever was a sadist out there, it's probably the designer of this card. His initial card concept was for a vampire that was sucking up a whole bunch of blood and then spitting it back out at creatures and players. And they went with Bloodlust instead with this little sadist. But he really he's a cube drafter as well, and so he actually designed an entire cycle of 5 different 1-drops that had cool abilities and late game relevance. So I really like this as a 1-drop that can do things, as the game goes on.
Yeah. So you can remove +1/+1 counters that were put onto Cruel Sadist that were put there through some other ways. So just a little bit of a way to speed up her killing process, her spitting, as it were, just so that you don't have to get just 1 counter each turn and pay 1 life.
Paying life to ratchet her up on +1/+1 counters, it seems really slow and not very competitive. But granted, she does get bigger, which means she can attack and defend too while doing so. But also, the cool thing is, because she deals X damage to target creature, if you think you'll actually recoup a lot of the life that you lost putting the counters on her, which is pretty sweet. I feel like she's kind of a flavor win. I do think that she's very interesting. This is a new type of way of looking at things. I'm kind of curious to see how she will play out. I don't think she'll see any competitive play, however.
So started out at about $1. It's cool, but I don't think it's cool enough. I think that the first ability is great, but both the first and the second cost too much for this to be any more than just a bulk rare.
Also, it says X, so you don't have to remove all of the counters.
That is true. Moving right along.
In Garruk's Wake, cost 7 colorless and 2 black for a rare sorcery. Ability text, destroy all creatures you don't control, and all planeswalkers you don't control.
Garrick, what happened to your green thumb? You look terrible. You're wasting away. I can't believe it. He used to be mono green, and then he got cursed by Liliana's Veil. And anyways, he's apparently so nasty and so bad that as he walks by things, everything just dies.
Just look at that. Look at that.
I mean, if that doesn't just ooze with black, nasty flavor, then I don't know what else you guys want.
So, great for EDH since it kills all your opponent's things with yours living. Normally on cards like this, it says destroy all non-land things. This doesn't say that, so any of your opponent's things that are land, creature, yeah, like Nisa, it kills all of those as well. So that seems fairly relevant.
It's basically like a Plague Win for your Planeswalkers, too. Count me in. I am super excited for this. It's also somewhat like Mass Calcify, but rather than hitting just monocolored stuff, it hits your opponent's things and not yours. 9 mana is really, really, really high. I doubt this will see any competitive play, but definitely a must in EDH if you're playing in black. The one thing that's different about this between Plague Win and not is Plague Win destroyed them without regenerating. This you can still regenerate through. It's my homeboy Garruk, who looks a lot like a serial killer. How can you not love that flavor?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Did you just read mine? Because I'm pretty sure that you read mine. Just kidding.
What?
Nothing. No. Yeah. It's just that we had written almost exactly the same
Oh.
thing. This one started out at $1. It is the buy a box promo card. 9 mana on this is a lot to pay for something like this. So the only place this is likely to see play is in Commander. And if that's the case, this will take a long time to see any monetary growth. Since supply and demand supply will outpace demand in the beginning. But give this a few years, and it might actually be a valuable card.
Indulgent Tormentor. Cost 3 colorless and 2 black for a 5/3 rare creature, Demon. Ability text, flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, draw a card unless target opponent sacrifices a creature or pays 3 life.
So when you control a demon permanent, normally they make you pay all sorts of costs to be able to have them on your side. But this one really seems to only make the opponent play all kinds of costs. So I really appreciate that. You never really know what you're going to get. But isn't that just the way with demons?
That to make you pick choices?
Well, and you just don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I
It
have
could
this,
be good, it could be bad.
I have this
Even
wish.
though you
I want
think
this
you're
thingy.
signing this thing for something
Yeah.
good, you're getting maybe a shorter lifespan and maybe I want this new go-kart. Oh, here's your
Have you
new
ever seen-
go-kart. You're going to die in a crash tomorrow.
There was a movie with Brendan Fraser where he had like
Bedazzled. I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
make that same
Bedazzled.
joke.
And
He,
every-
you know, he got to be a giant
There's a hot British
basketball
chick.
player, and then he had a small other areas. Anyways,
Ego.
continue right along.
Yes.
Ego.
So remember to trigger this before you draw your card. You need to give your opponent ample time to make their choice, unfortunately. Since this is a mandatory trigger, do not move too quickly through the start of your turns.
I would suggest saying choose at the
What?
beginning of every
And
turn.
point them.
Yep.
So Damon, this is your cousin, right? What? Because you're master of feasts. Daggers.
Yeah,
All right. So much like Blood Gift Demon and Desecration Demon, it may seem some amount of play in standard, but with a tiny bit, with a tiny but like 3, he dies a lot to like red decks and things like that. With, also he isn't ideal for blocking. So I mean, I don't know. We'll see if he sees any competitive play in standard, but it could be really sweet in EDH because you can target an opponent. But unlike Blood Gift Demon, it isn't a guaranteed card, which is why it's like Desecration Demon because it's back to that choosing thing, right? So you're never gonna get. Sometimes you'll get what you want, but sometimes you won't. And either way, things are going to be happening, and you should be happy about it.
So before I talk about this, I just want to back up a little bit to the previous card and just say, I said this is the buy a box promo. It's not. It is the game day?
Oh,
Or
the
the
game
release
day.
day. It's the release day.
Promo.
Release
Gotcha.
day.
Yeah.
So yeah, there will be a lot of those floating out there.
Yeah. Okay. That's on the Grook. So this card, it's in the intro packs. It's an intro pack rare. Its power is keeping it in check to make competing with. I don't even know what I wrote here. Its ability, basically, its ability sounds better than it really is. Bulk rare.
Fair enough.
Okay. What were you saying, Rich?
I was having that same problem right then, and I was like,
Hey, yeah, bit aboard. Okay. Let's go on. Come on. Hello. There we are.
Liliana Vess. Costs 3 colorless and 2 black for a 5 loyalty Mythic Rare Planeswalker Liliana. +1 ability, target player discards a card. -2 ability, search your library for a card, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. -8 ability, put all creature cards in all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control.
So, of all of the different planeswalkers, poor Liliana has probably been the most confused from iteration to iteration. Nobody really knows if what she's supposed to be doing is discarding stuff, mass reanimation, tutoring, making more black mana, causing opponents to sacrifice creatures. She just does random black abilities? I don't know. And I'm happy to see her return to her roots, and I really hope that they get this idea fleshed out. In fact, she's been so confusing for so long, they've assigned a staff member at Wizards of the Coast to simply track all the planeswalkers and the things that people expect that they should do, so that when they design new planeswalkers or do iterations of old planeswalkers, they kind of keep the feeling the same. You know, Gideon has always sort of turned into a creature and attacked, and that's sort of the feeling that they want.
He's like
So-
the tank of the group.
Right, yeah. So, anyways, poor Liliana, but I am actually very excited to see her come back. I think she's a great Lily.
in her defense, she did get the veil.
Right, yeah, she's kind of
Which
got
is-
like demon possession and stuff now, so
That does make you a little scatterbrained.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
I'll forgive her, but
She's crazy. She's Jace's ex-girlfriend, actually. Crazy. Anyway, what? Wars.
Are we?
Blades.
Yeah. So her +1 ability, target player discards a card. You can do that to yourself, depending on the format, if you got some ways to abuse that or not. Her -2, search your library for a card, then shuffle your library, put that card on top of it, just to get yourself more consistency. -8, put all creature cards from all graveyards onto the battlefield under your control, just for something to build to. All in all, rather plain planeswalker, nothing too much to stand out. Put all creature cards from all graveyards, so you get everybody's stuff more than just yours.
I was hoping for Liliana the Veil, like most of you at home, but I'm not upset with Vess either. She's a vampiric tutor, if you're wanting to be, and she's also a discard, which is pretty sweet actually. With right now with the Waste Knot, she's helping you kind of work in that deck. She seems pretty good. Also, the ability to go find your Waste Knot with your -2 ability. She's a vampiric tutor, right? She's great in EDH because of the tutoring type effects. Her +1's not as good, but her -8, you know what I mean, being able to be a living end, basically it just brings everything back onto your field, seems pretty sweet. It actually doesn't cause you to sacrifice the creatures, so it's just to reanimate all things. But yeah, she's going to see Fringe play, I think. I'm glad to see her reprinted because she's been sitting at like $10 to $15 right now, even with the 3 printings that she's had, 2 to 3 printings. So she needs another one for those of us who don't want to play casually with her in EDH and stuff.
So she started at 10 and has fallen to about 6, mostly due to the fact that she's actually been printed 5 times.
Sorry, I was
Yeah.
taking, yeah.
Liliana Vess has been and 6 if you count MBP, which I forget what that said. I looked it up when I was writing this, but I don't remember.
That's the duels of the Planeswalkers.
Oh, that's right. It was a dual. It was a dual deck.
M10, yeah.
It was one of the dual decks. Her abilities are pretty relevant, and when she comes down, she'll already have 6 loyalty, same as the new Jace. You're only 3 turns away from going ultimate. I think long term she'll go back to 10, but it's going to take a while.
Back to the Liliana the Veil thing, actually. They said they were going to release her in M14, but they didn't because of Black Devotion. So it sounds like there's actually the potential for them to reprint Liliana
actually,
the Veil
on this
eventually.
one. That was for this
Is that
set.
for this one?
That's why they reverted to this one
Thoughtseize
last
plus
minute.
her, though, seems so...
Yeah.
Thoughtseize plus her plus everything
So
else.
I think they're going to wait until, that stuff rotates out center and Devotion. Because they said that 2 Black Devotion turn 3 like that with Planeswalkers and Devotion was too powerful in mono black. So I think they're going to probably see a printing of her here soon in the next year or 2.
All right.
More than likely.
Necromancer's Stockpile. Costs 1 colorless and 1 black for a rare enchantment. Ability text: pay 1 colorless and 1 black. Discard a creature card. Draw a card. If the discarded card was a zombie card, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token on the battlefield tapped.
What do necromancers need? Dead things to necromance and turn into live things again. So you can just discard creature cards to add to your own resources. And then, hey, if you're discarding a zombie, zombies care. Zombie already dead. He comes back as a token. He doesn't care. I think this card is super flavorful. And like we zoomed in on last week, I mean, just the art for this card's super cool. We got all these like zombies and vials and stuff walking around in this library thing. Just the idea of this card. I really like that there's sort of a discard theme in this set, and it looks like we could be setting up for some cool reanimation stuff as well. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So with a card like this that is fairly narrow design, discard a creature card, draw a card. If the discard card was a zombie card, you get a 2/2 guy. It seems fairly narrow, and it seems like there's going to be a lot of iterations in here to where people are probably going to be playing it wrong. So try to make sure that you fully understand the card before playing all of its abilities and read through it a few different times.
And it's flavorful even to the point that the zombies come into play tapped. I mean, that's so flavorful.
Like, I gotta get up still.
Yeah. I love zombies. I mean, what do I love more than zombies? Pitching zombies to feed a graveyard and then getting more zombies. Heck yes. Unless a significant amount of zombies get printed, I doubt this will see any standard play. Modern EDH, perhaps? We'll see. Most definitely, though, I'm going to be sleeving this up and putting it in some of my decks. The ability of pitching like Gravecrawler or Bloodghast. There's a few other guys like pitching your Shambling Shell to get a zombie and then to be able to dredge it back up.
There is the
Seems-
cat.
oh,
The
so
cat
good.
zombie is in there.
Cat zombie.
It's
It's
a
a 1/1
Black
for
cat.
1.
Black cat.
How cool is that to be able to pitch that and get a 2/2 out of it?
Right, especially if you don't need him to, discard any more cards anymore.
I consider that upgraded.
Yeah, and
yeah.
definitely, as like these guys just said, I feel like it's definitely going to be good in reanimating type strategies. So
Yep. Started out at $2, has sold off a little on some sites. It's holding its value other places. That indicates to me that there might be some mixed feelings about this one. People probably trying to brew around it. I'm guessing this one is one to watch.
Ob Nixilis Unshackled. Costs 4 colorless and 2 black for a 4/4 rare legendary creature demon. Ability text: flying, trample. Whenever an opponent searches his or her library, that player sacrifices a creature and loses 10 life. Whenever another creature dies, put a 1/1 counter on Ob Nixilis Unshackled.
So Ob Nixilis is another part of the legendary rare creature cycle. And what's really neat about him is that he's actually a reiteration similar to Avacyn of an old card from Zendikar block. Ob Nixilis used to be a planeswalker, lost his spark, and he's like a fallen demon type character. Interestingly, Brad Muir works for the fine folks at Double Fine Productions and is partially responsible for the crowdfunded game Broken Age, as well as the classic video game Psychonauts, which has gotten like some awards and things like that. Anyways, basically he showed up when Wizards of the Coast contacted him and said he wanted to have a sweet demon that would punish people for searching through their library when he played Commander. He's really big into Commander being a fun, random style format, and when people have repetitive gameplay through tutors and things like that, it really takes the fun out of it for him. So he just really wanted to punish people for those things.
Was Ob Nixilis one of the demons that
Liliana?
enslaved Liliana?
No, 'cause
No.
he was on
Don't believe so.
Zendikar.
Yeah.
Like he had an
Okay.
ability
I thought
to
I read that, but
landfall
maybe
too.
that was someone else.
Yeah, he used to have a landfall
A couple
ability,
of them are
so-
dead though now. She's
Yes.
actually okay.
Yeah, she's trying to like kill.
Grizzlebrand was the one you're thinking.
Yeah,
of.
Oh,
she's
that
trying to
Grizzlebrand.
kill all the demons that she sold her soul to. So, like, you
She's
know, if the person's not
free.
around to collect their debt, then she's fine.
All right.
So-
go.
With his whenever an opponent searches his or her library, that player sacks a creature and loses 10 life. So if you can like flash him into play in response to your opponent's playing a sack land or something like that, that seems severely huge. And it's not like that opponent can then fail to find, because that's still considered searching their library. So they're gonna take the 10 damage with something like that on the stack. So that seems fairly relevant.
This guy is a total tool bag.
Yeah.
I love shuffling my EDH deck, and I do it at least 3 or 4 times a turn. And this guy just says, "Screw you, Rich. No more playing for you." Not only does he make you sacrifice a guy and pay 10 life when you do happen to tutor as an opponent of this guy, but he also gets bigger whenever another creature dies. Put a +1/+1 counter on him. So I mean, like a 4 flyer trample for 6 mana it seems not that great. But I mean, the ability that he's also growing on top of making your opponents take damage from searching, man, he is amazing.
And you still get a tutor, which is crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah,
when we're opponent, you
as
can
a
still
controller,
tutor
yeah.
through your as the controller you can still tutor up, which is pretty sweet. So
Seems pretty good for a general.
So here's the thing. Start out at $3. This one's a much better than Indulgent Tormentor. Price on this one's going to go up.
Absolutely.
Yep.
EDH Commander.
Soul of Innistrad costs 4 colorless and 2 black for a 6/6 Mythic Rare creature avatar. Ability text, Death Touch. Pay 3 colorless and 2 black. Return up to 3 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Pay 3 colorless, 2 black. Exile Soul of Innistrad from your graveyard. Return up to 3 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand.
So this is part of our Mythic Soul cycle. Now, Innistrad, of course, was a set that was all about top-down design of Gothic horror. And so, you know, mechanically, it played with the graveyard a lot. And Soul of Zendikar, if you look at the art, he's a walking graveyard. Death Touch is classic black ability. And, of course, getting things in and out of your graveyard is totally design space that black works in and out of all the time. Also seems to have a lot of value when he's in your graveyard, maybe the most of anybody. So, anyways, really like this guy a whole lot. I think this guy is also a home run.
His ability to return up to 3 target creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Normally there's a sack clause in something like that, so that's a bit fairly unique. But beyond that, I think that Dredge might actually be more of a something to do in the next months to come. Beyond that, he's fairly plain and bland, however.
Yeah, I mean, what time is it? It's game time. Or, sorry, Soul of Innistrad time? Because, you know, Grave Titan's game time. You got prime time,
okay.
game time, and
Okay.
sometimes. Yeah, so Grave Titan was better, I personally think, coming into play and making zombies and then attacking and putting zombies. But putting creatures from your graveyard in your hand is sweet. Doubt he'll see any standard play or modern play, but, like, most of the Soul Cycle great in EDH. I do think that there's potential in a blue-black or a blue black-green Dredge style deck.
I was thinking the
in
same,
standard.
yes.
I think he could definitely see play. But 6/6 Death Touch, I mean, he's a 6/6. He's going to kill most anything anyway. So,
Yeah.
So he started at $8. He's not the worst avatar, but he's not the best either. He's already sold off a bit from his starting price. Pseudo card draw is pretty good. Still probably $2 to $4 Mythic Rare in the long term. So, moving on. Let's see.
Stain the Mind. Cost 4 colorless and 1 black for a rare sorcery. Ability text, Convoke. Name a non-land card. Search target player's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with that name, and exile them. Then that player shuffles his or her library.
So the idea of a bunch of nasty black creatures working together to scribble and scrape the knowledge out of my mind is just a little bit terrifying. Convoke, bunch of bad guys working together. Normally was like just this happy fun time mechanic, and they brought it into black, and this one seems particularly terrifying. So,
yeah, for this ability where you do get to search their library, their hand, their graveyard, and exile everything out of it, you have the option to miss some of these things. So if you do so on mistake in your opponent's draw at late game, it feels pretty bad to just get hit with that later on. So make sure that you get all the copies. Make sure that you search through everything and get them all. Also,
other games, I personally doubt this will see much play. I know there's a large speculation of people claiming this to be a big card in the next meta, but Slaughter Games is an equivalent that was uncountable, and it rarely even saw play. I think 5 mana is awfully high, even with the ability to Convoke, but that's my opinion. I mean, the idea, going back to the Convoke thing, it does make it cheaper, but I mean, at the same time, like, if you're casting guys within the first few turns, you're probably wanting to attack with them, right? I mean, you could just easily Thoughtseize away whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel like
true.
it's a little... I think it's too niche. I'm not a big fan of it. I know that there was a lot of people saying that, like, BBD, like, that they were thinking
Brian
that
Bronduin,
yeah, they were thinking that was him on the artwork.
like with the guy,
Could
like
be.
with the shocks around his head, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's like a buff.
That
bald
does look
guy.
a little bit like him. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I like it.
He was
A
making a
big
joke that
bald
it was
guy,
his invitational card, but I don't...
That's really funny.
Anyway.
maybe I absolutely agree with everything you just said. So
So this one started out at $1, and it will probably stay around there. I'm guessing it'll go down, but not quite to bulk. I think the convoke ability on this will buoy it up just a little bit. So
Waste Not. Costs 1 colorless and 1 black for a rare enchantment. Ability text, whenever an opponent discards a creature card, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield. Whenever an opponent discards a land card, add 2 black to your mana pool. Whenever an opponent discards a non-creature, non-land card, draw a card.
So this guy, this enchantment was actually designed by us, the Magic community.
yay me.
I will say, as an aside, that every major vote, I was just exactly in second place. So it was like came down between black and red, and I was on the red side and went black. And
So
I
this
was
is the card that you didn't
Wait, so
design.
It was the exact same card, or was it different cards that they were voting for?
No. So like it started out first, like everybody vote like what card type. So we're gonna do like a land or an enchantment. And I was on the land side and it went enchantment. And I'm like, okay, well, what color should it be? And like black and red were the 2 top ones, and I was on red and it went black.
So maybe they'll do that.
And then they're like, and like so like every step along the way. Anyways,
This
I do
is, this
this
is
is
the
every-
card that Damon almost designed.
that almost designed.
the
However,
card that he does not want.
well, you know
but
what's
the card that
interesting
he
is that we get to
deserves.
the end of it all, and I am extremely happy with this design. I think it's incredibly flavorful. I think it's got a lot of neat mechanics to it as far as being able to use it, and I really, really look forward to making my own Waste Not deck and playing against Rich's Necromancer's stockpile deck, and watching him discard all of these cards so that I can make stuff on my side of the battlefield.
Don't worry, I'll
Anyways.
help you, bro. I got this.
Coming to a fight club near you. Anyways.
Not bad, but again, playing with Thoughtseize, that's another big card coming into this next format. It will give you a bit of a jump with this one to where you could get just about whatever you feel you need outside of Your opponent probably isn't gonna discard a land card off of
Dude,
Thoughtseize.
cantripping discard effect seems great.
I've also actually heard like legacy mutterings about this card.
Yeah,
Anyways.
it's like open the door for all those lost souls like myself who have tried creating a mono black discard deck. This enchantment does everything you ever want it to do. Makes guys, produces mana, draws you cards. It's a mini planeswalker. Definite possibilities for fringe mono black decks in standard, but in modern, I think it's the last piece we needed to build a competitive mono black discard deck. I mean, waste not. Why not? Why not? Or
Yeah.
more like why not? Sorry.
Mini Planeswalker for 2 mana. This is the new Tibalt, guys.
No, like okay, think about it. Like you've got
He
Wrench.
doesn't look as dapper, but hey, he's holding a skull. That's
maybe
pretty
that-
nice.
Maybe that's him under there.
Think about it.
I am the Rag Prince.
I
Tibalt.
was the turkey the whole time. No, like think about it though. Okay, think about it. Like you have like Wrench Mind, 2 black. Target player discards 2 cards
Yes.
unless they discard an artifact. I mean, right there you could potentially produce 2 black mana or 2 guys or draw 2 cards. You could also have things like right now we have
Raven's Crime is still pretty
Raven's
huge.
Crime's huge, way huge in modern, but also
Him to Turok.
And
know,
Rot,
not in modern.
Rot the Mind.
Yeah.
Or him to Turok. Like I mean,
Mind
Rakdos
Rot, yeah.
Return, people. Come
Oh
on.
my
Like
gosh.
this card is
discard
gonna
all
be
your stuff. I get to do all the good stuff.
Liliana Spectre. I mean, like, there's tons and tons of really cool, fascinating abilities that you can do with this guy. And I'm excited. Liliana the Vest even is good.
There's a lot of extra value into this, but how much can you actually take advantage of is going to be the really defining factor.
Here's the thing: they're gonna have lands in their hand, right? You can produce mana to keep your engine going,
That's the thing. Like 2 black mana,
and then you just activate your.
you're
creeping
going to need
tar
more
pits,
than 1 mana.
and you win.
2 mana, you're golden.
Right.
Whenever they discard a non-creature, non-land card, you draw a card. That's so huge.
So the funniest line of play I've heard out of this is like go, turn 2, make this, turn 3, hit your land drop, him to Turok them. They pitch both of their lands,
Obliterator.
and then they pitch a land as part of their thing, and then you cast your Liliana and make them discard again.
Yeah, no, I'm just
Yeah, there's so
exactly,
much to do
so
with
much
this.
play for this. And Raven's Crime, because you don't need lands anyway, because you're making them discard them and getting black off of it.
Yep.
So James, what do you think?
Is it my turn?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
No, it's good.
Pass the turn
I'm-
to you.
Thank you. Starting at $10. Going, gone. Now this is going to be a popular card, not just for the abilities, which are insane, but just for the collectors, because I mean this is the card everyone built. So I know I want a play set of this, and so I'm just hoping this goes down just so I can get my play set, but I don't think it's going to.
I'm always hoping they're going down.
So let's see. Anything else, guys, on this one?